Hello and welcome to Heiser Media's tournament coverage of the 2025 Lake Marshall Open presented by Prodigy Discs. My name is Emily Dale and I am joined today with Nathan Johnson.
Hey Emily, how's it going? Very excited to watch this coverage. Such a great tournament every year, and at a absolutely beautiful property, as we're already seeing from the drone footage.
Absolutely, we're over at the Lions course right now, and it is a race out here. You can see our lead card, and we are going to have some bonus coverage with some check-ins from our Chace card today. So lots of opportunity to see what's going on out on the course in almost real time.
Yeah, going to be very exciting. Harry Chace built himself out quite a bit of a cushion, but we're going to see coverage from all 8 players that are looking to make a push here in the third and final round. Starting off on hole 1, an absolute beast of a starting hole, par 5, 970 feet. If you can land anywhere near the top of this hill that we're on, you're in a great spot. You've got OB lining the entire right side of the fairway. Eventually, the fairway doglegs back to the left into this green with out of bounds surrounding the entire basket on the backside. What a way to start.
Welcome to Heiser Media's coverage of the 2025 Lake Marshall Open presented by Prodigy. First to tee on our Chace card is Raven Newsom from Hot Springs, North Carolina, representing MVP Discs.
Like we mentioned, we're going to follow some of that Chace card. We're cutting to the chase off the bat here, seeing how the Chace card plays out.
Yeah, so Raven Newsom's going to kick it off for us. Also worth noting, on hole 1, we had a very strong right to left wind. As you can see, this disc kind of just gets knocked straight to the ground as a result of that.
Next up, from North Augusta, South Carolina, representing Castoplast, Braden Sides.
Yeah, like you said, especially with that wind, it makes it challenging to get to the ideal landing zone for this hole to really start attacking.
Yeah, it's a rip to get to the flat of that second, past the gully that you saw Raven's disc end up in. It's probably going to play like 430 feet to get where you would really like to be. Most players end up right around here at like 438, which is still a very good shot, but obviously, it just kind of puts you, as we'll see on the second shots, in a tricky situation where you have to decide if you want to try to go over the second gully, which a lot of it is out of bounds, or if you want to lay up short of it.
Yeah, and you see right out of the hand here for Zach, the lefty,
representing Prodigy Disc and Tree Magnets, Jesse Longenecker.
Here we have Jesse, the Central PA local.
Yeah, newly crowned college disc golf national champion. If you haven't seen that coverage, go check it out. Jesse going with the forehand. I like this play a lot. With that right to left wind, it's going to hold the disc a lot straighter off the tee. There's plenty of space over there on the right side. So it's going to put him in a very good spot, able to attack and try to go across on his second, but it looks like he might eclipse something on the way out.
Yeah, and these shots that ended up over here on the left side, they're definitely going to be pinched and makes that angle difficult to navigate getting around that corner.
Yeah, and it just plays long because they got this upslope that you can see Braden having to work with. Difficult to throw with an uphill lie like that, but he does a fantastic job getting that disc to push as straight as possible and get across the gully. This is an even tougher shot for Zach with that out of bounds that's on the right-hand side. If it fades out at all, he's going to end up out of bounds. And yeah, it looks like that's exactly what happened.
So it's looking good. It looks like it faded out just a little much. Might have got a tree kick there.
Yeah, Raven shot may be okay. It might not. There is really not. It is open. It opens up on the left-hand side.
First to tee, our leader from East Greenwich, Rhode Island, sponsored by Discmania, Harry Chace.
And now we have our lead card teeing off with Harry Chace. He has a 5-stroke lead at this point, but If you've ever been to Lions, you know that can be made up pretty quickly out here.
Next up, from Loveland, Ohio, sponsored by Hazy Shade Disc Golf, Ethan Owens.
Yeah, no lead is safe. If you watched the coverage last year, we saw Lucas Oberholzer have a very, or actually 2 years ago, excuse me, had a big lead and gave it up to Braden Sides, who ended up winning. So a lot can happen out here.
Third to tee, from Radford, Virginia, sponsored by Castoplast and Stash Discs, Ian Burchett.
Yeah, just a bit of a release there from Ethan Owens. See Ian here, last year's champion of this tournament. This course plays super well to his game, has a lot of power, and is able to kind of like throw these really stable discs on flat and Anheuser releases, which plays really well on this course. That
And
one
last
gets a
to
little
tee, from
sneaky
Newmarket, New
on the
Hampshire,
left-hand side.
representing Thought Space Athletics and Union Square Disc Golf, Elijah Ryder Brandt.
Rounding out our lead card here, we have Elijah.
Yeah, Eli Brandt coming down from New Hampshire. He's been on a tour all year. I got to play with him at a tournament in Charlotte earlier this year. So a lot of power from him as well. I'm sure we're going to see some huge shots. Also, just quick before Eli's throwing, shout out to John Biscoe. The guy is an absolute legend. Does so much for Lake Marshall and the disc golf community. I really appreciate all that he's done. That's a pretty good result for Eli after a bit of an early release, tickled something on the left-hand side. So everybody in the fairway here on hole 1's tee shot, which is not a guarantee.
Yeah, especially with the wind we're having out here on this weekend.
So pretty actually decent footing here for Eli. He's kind of just before this ditch. Definitely has enough power to go over the second ditch, which is out of bounds, but that one is a bit pulled and
snags a tree, unfortunately.
Yeah, Harry in a nice spot as well. He's on that same upslope that we saw Braden throw from, but definitely in position to go over. He's going to do just that. Looks like this one's fading out a little bit, but had plenty of distance to cross and should be able to scramble or at least have something to try to get up and down for birdie.
Yeah, it clears up a little bit over there, so he should have a lane.
And Ian is in an almost perfect spot. You really can't place the drive much better. He honestly has enough power. He could get an eagle look if he threw it right, but he just pushes it too straight and kind of find the out of bounds, which is really unfortunate after a nearly perfect drive.
And then in the middle there a little bit should be somewhat obstructed.
Yeah, the shots that these guys are throwing up from here is very common. Third shot, basically, if you're not in position off the tee, you almost have to
Get up there.
lay up to 150-ish feet.
And we're cutting back to the Chace card here. We see some of our putts as we see Zach. Nice putt, honestly, for a bogey. Not a gimme, but he gets out of there after that OB stroke. This will be Raven for his birdie.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is how you want to start the tournament.
Yeah, that's a great way to start, especially being on the Chace card, having a couple strokes that you're going to need to make up. Definitely want to make sure you get off to a hot start. Try to put some pressure on that leader. We saw Braden picked up the birdie on this hole as well. Didn't catch his putt, but that's a good one for him to get. And Jesse tapping in the par for himself. So Chace card off to a pretty good start overall. Hole 1 can be a very difficult challenge if you're not in position, and some big numbers can come up out of nowhere. So we'll see what these players are able to do as Ian's throwing an upshot here, trying to save his par.
That'll be a tester for hole 1, right outside the circle, it looks like, for a par save.
Yep, upshot for Ethan as well, looking to save his par. This one looks a little more controlled. Yep, sliding up inside the circle.
Yeah. And this is Harry's look for birdie. Unfortunately, it goes a little bit long, and unfortunately, he finds that out of bounds there deep.
Yeah, it comes up quick. I mean, there's a significant slope behind the basket, and if you don't have the right amount of touch on your upshot, that disc can sail and find that out of bounds. So that is going to be a long comebacker now for Harry to save his par. Ian, he's looking at this 30-footer as well for his par. And just sneaks it in.
Sheesh. Yeah, and like we said in the beginning, it happens fast out here, and out the gate, we're looking at some pressure.
Yeah, that's a big one. So now Harry, to save his par as well, looking at a 30-footer, and he also sneaks it in just over the cage. Those both looked like classic hole 1 putts, you know?
Yep.
Doesn't come out quite how you'd like it, but hey, if it goes in, you're happy.
Oh, thought we were gonna have another one there, but
yeah,
unfortunately she didn't stick.
Yeah, so as these guys tap out, we will give a quick shout out. We had an eagle from Braden Race on hole 1. That is a very rare sight.
Oh, that's amazing.
Nasty, nasty work on hole 1 to pick up the 3. Jumping into hole 2, talk about intimidating 505-foot par 3. Obviously very downhill, as you can see from the drone flight, but such a demanding tee shot. You can throw kind of any speed of disc here. The goal is for something to push straight until you get to the bottom of the hill, and then it hooks hard to the left. You'll see players throw putters just to kind of stay in the fairway. You'll see some throw a stable fairway driver on a little flex line to try to get that finish and get all the way back to the basket. It's really just comes down to player preference.
Well, it looks like Harry was going for a little bit more of that flex line to get caught up by some of those trees on the right-hand side there.
Yeah, and that's not too bad of a miss. The right-hand side is definitely more scrambleable. Tough word to say.
Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, exactly. Then the left, if you kick early left, you are there's no chance. There's no chance to save a par. It's basically impossible. So Ian kind of makes the same mistake, just pulls it a little bit, and should still have an up and down available to save his par.
Eli's taking that wider out as well. Fights through a little bit more and ends up in the fairway.
Yeah, that one got sneaky. Definitely missed a couple trees there on the right-hand side to get all the way through.
And it may surprise you. I know we are at Lake Marshall, which doesn't sound like there should be tons of elevation, but the Lions course is similar to Toboggan, but it is 1,000 feet longer and only 5 more floors of elevation than Toboggan. So you see Toboggan all the time on coverage, thinking that's up and down, but we got that right out here too.
Yeah, it really is. If you haven't, those watching at home haven't visited this property in Virginia, I would highly recommend. They have 3 courses on the property. It's an incredible experience and really a disc golf destination. So would highly recommend coming through to Montross and checking it out. Players throwing these scramble shots here, probably about 180 feet or so from the right side of the fairway, not too much in the way. Ian able to get himself a short look for par. Eli actually has kind of a long birdie look here. Again, though, I don't know how much of a run he wants to give it because we have another slope behind the basket. So could be a little bit of a comebacker if he's not careful on this one.
Yeah, hole 2 is playing as the fourth hardest of the day, so kind of in the mix, but this is a common shot that you'll see players ending up with to just keep it at that average for par.
Yeah, you don't want to run an 80 footer on this hole and have it go 30 long and somehow end up with a bogey. Ian, another one that he just barely sneaks over the cage. That's an Ian Burchett make though, right there. He's got a classic nose down pitch putt. A lot of the times you see him making them right at the base of the pole. So in is in. It's going to work for him. Harry saves his par as well. So these guys not giving up too much ground to each other at least, but maybe letting that chase card get a little bit closer.
Yeah,
right off the
and
bat.
like we mentioned, it's super windy out there today. So trying to get strokes where you can, especially when you're a little bit more protected in the woods, is the way to go.
100%. Yeah, it's going to come into play once we get to about hole 7 and these open holes around the lake. We're going to start to see a lot more wind, but for now, not too much is sneaking through these trees on hole 3. A 660-foot par 4 tee shot is straight uphill, and then most players are going to have some sort of flex forehand into the green depending on which side of the fairway you end up on. But priority 1 on this hole, you got to push something straight, and you do not want it to fade out left. That is absolute jail. There is a drop off on the left side of the fairway that you do not want to find.
Straight to jail. This looks
Straight
good
to
though
jail.
from Harry. Ends up in that sunny patch right there up on the hill on the right hand side. That should give him good luck if he got far enough.
Yeah, and this is the kind of hole that you think you rip your disc and then it lands like halfway up the hill. Oh my gosh, that's way more uphill than I saw. I mean, Ian doesn't have that problem. Ian throws his disc and he's like, yeah, I got to the top of the hill because I'm Ian Burchett and I throw really far. But the rest of us normal people,
Humans.
is an absolute rip of a tee shot if you want to get all the way to the top.
Yeah,
Even
Eli
though it
gives us
may
some
not look
height
like it.
too, which is good to really push, but unfortunately he does leak a little bit left, like you said. Doesn't find the jail. However, he's going to be a little pinched over there on that side.
Yeah, he was about 3 feet away from a terrible lie. From there, he might be able to still attack the green. We'll see. And this one is pulled from Ethan, but I think it got pretty lucky sneaking up at least part of the way up the hill. Because there can be some pretty terrible lies on this hole if you hit one of those early trees. And I've seen discs hit those trees and then literally roll or glide all the way back to the bottom of the hill.
Or both. All of the above.
Yeah, a combination of both. Yeah, exactly.
Good little scramble there just to get him back into open and be in play.
Yeah, so Harry looks like he's going to go with a turnover back into the green. This is a way more technical shot, especially with that right to left slope that kind of continues all the way up the fairway. So hard to keep the disc moving in the right direction. Tricky lie for Eli as well, as he's kind of right here on the edge of the tree line. Might have some limbs to deal with in his swing.
And that uphill run up gets me every time. Not easy to calculate for, and unfortunately he snags that one tree he was trying to miss.
Yeah, it's tough to find your release point on these uphill run-ups. I love the standstill here from Ian. Just make sure that his footing is sound, but just clips the tree on his way in. So he's going to be about 100 feet short.
Great shape there, leaving him about 17 feet for his putt.
Yep, just some pretty textbook upshots for these guys. Once you're past the early trees on this hole in general, it's not usually too difficult to secure a par, but you do really have to throw an excellent upshot to get yourself a runnable putt, because you don't want to be left with this. What Harry's got right here is a knee knocker, as the kids would say. But that was a confident stroke.
Yeah, he was probably kicking himself at that upshot, but made good on it, and you could tell with the joy in his face that he made that one.
Yeah, joy or maybe a little bit of relief. Maybe some of both. Similar putt here for Eli. Pretty strong right to left wind on this green, with the being a little exposed to the back half of the course. It's a little more open. So Eli making sure to take his time, read it right, and knock down the par.
Yeah, some smart golf here.
No birdies yet for the card. As we take a look at this leaderboard through 3 holes, Bradenside's off to a hot start, 3 down through 3, looking to apply a little bit of pressure on our leader, Harry Chace.
Things are getting spicy there in the middle, though.
Oh yeah, a lot of action, a lot of jockeying I'm sure we'll see throughout today's round as we start. And we take a look at hole 4, a 667-foot par 4. All you need to do off the tee is get out that gap. Forehand, backhand, both are fine. There's plenty of space on either side of the fairway. And then depending on where you land, you're going to have a couple different options of upshots. This one leaning tree is really the one that gets in your head. Forces you to throw kind of a deep hyzer flip if you're going for the backhand line, just to make that gap a little bit bigger.
And this is done perfectly. Just how you want.
Oh my, and he gets the skip.
Oh my gosh. What a crush. Hopefully he's not right up against that tree there, but that was a crush.
Yeah, that's maybe the best tee shot I've ever seen on this hole. You don't get past. You don't see.
It doesn't happen.
Get past that second set of trees, and just have a wide open upshot. Usually, most tee shots you still have to hit another gap on your approach into the green. So impressive stuff from Harry.
Yeah.
You see a lot of players throw this forehand line off the tee because it kind of takes that leaning tree out of the way if you flex something ever so slightly.
And you're looking at it the whole time. You just gotta stare it down. But this one looks a little high. It should be fine though, still over there. Opens up quite a bit.
There's plenty of space. It's just, there's a couple random trees that if you just are unlucky, you get stuck behind one of them. It is what it is. So we'll see. We'll see what Eli has here in a second. This is a better forehand line. It's really pushing straight. Had a little bit of turn on it. Just catches something at the very end, though, from Ethan.
Going for some of that ground play. I don't think he got it, unfortunately, in that longer grass.
Yeah.
Eli's in this patent pending.
Yeah, our worst fears have come true. He was right behind that poorly placed tree and also came out a little low for him. So it's going to come up short.
Yeah, Owens, you see the lake off to the left-hand side there. So the wind is starting to breeze over and make players think about the shots that they're throwing. And what a reaction. Goodness.
Yeah, I don't know if that was an intentional roller or just a disc that got beat down by the wind as it tried to turn. But either way, not the shot he was looking for there. Cut rolls to the right side.
Stayed safe, though. Important. And out of the deep part of the woods. Tried to throw it in there, Eli.
Yeah. Good upshot there to put him in position to save a par. Ian looking to scramble as well. He's kind of pinched on this left side of the fairway, going with a turnover forehand. Oh, and
he didn't like it out of the hands, but goodness, it worked out for him.
Yeah, and we're finally to Harry's drive. I wasn't kidding, guys. Like this is a crazy tee shot that he pulled off.
4 hours later.
Yeah,
great shot.
That's how you play the hole right there. So some par putts coming up for the rest of the card, looking to complete the scrambles after really none of the 3 players were in a great position off the tee, even though they did hit the gap. But some nice scramble shots either way. So Ethan drops in his par. Eli already connected on his, and Ian should be tapping in his par as well. So not a terrible result after those tee shots for those 3 guys. Harry obviously shredding filleting the hole to pick up his first birdie of the day.
Yeah, extending that lead just a little bit, heading into hole 5.
Yeah, another par 4, 636 feet. Very uphill again, tee shot. You're looking to just make as much forward progress as you can off the tee, and then players will have a decision if they want to go wide forehand down the left side or a straight backhand in the direction that the drone is flying to get up into the screen. As Emily said, this course is long, right? 10,000 feet, par 72. It is designed as you would see many true golf courses. You got 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s, and the rest are par 4s. So lots of shots to be thrown out here during your round.
Yeah, and great use of the elevation too. And love these beautiful grass fairways. It's a stunning course, like you said. We'll say it one more time. If you haven't been out here, make it on the list.
Yeah. Good shot from Ian. Came out a little bit low, so we didn't quite get to the top of the hill. But anything on or near the upslope is going to give you probably somewhere in the 360 to 370 range into this green. And then if you can get to the top like Eli did, it's going to make that approach a little bit easier.
And this is another one where you feel like you're throwing full power and it doesn't go nearly as far as you expect, especially if you're throwing a little bit higher like this. It's more of a gut check than anything.
Yeah, and there is out of bounds. I didn't mention it on both sides of the fairway. So, you have to hit the gap, keep something straight if you want to stay in bounds. This is a pretty common landing zone. Anywhere around or just over this road is kind of where a not great shot will land, and then anything past it is definitely still in play for the birdie. So Ian probably looking at the 340 to 350 range here into the green. Still a pretty good pull.
Oh, that's looking good right there. Sheesh. Great shot.
Yeah, really put a good move on that one. Still probably came up a little bit short, it looked like. So maybe it was even more than what I said into that green, but this upshot is also still quite a ways, probably 10 or 15 feet uphill, depending on where you land. Looked like it was even more for Harry being down below on the side hill.
Yeah, and a lot of these players have been stuck with a standstill or close to that with their shots, which makes it even more challenging to get the power needed to get up to the green.
Yeah, that's the thing about playing this course is that if you throw a good tee shot, as we're taking a look at somebody's drive is obviously close to the out of bounds. Or not drive, but upshot. Yeah, as these guys try to figure it out. Okay, it was Ethan's they were looking at. But I was going to say is, if you throw a good drive, it's almost impossible to get birdies because if you're slightly out of position, the footing or the line you have to throw is just so much more difficult than if you throw the perfect shot. So end up taking, if you're not on your top of your game, end up taking a lot of pars on this course just because, you're left with what these guys have had on almost every hole, which is like an 80-footer for birdie that you have no business running because of the wind and or elevation. And if you're playing well, tap-in pars are fine, but you got to pick up some birdies here and there. This Ian just nose got up on that one and lifted into the band. That's a tough one.
Good par from Eli there.
Yeah, most likely wind coming from how we see it left or right. You see the cars parked behind this green. That is a big open field back there. So the wind tends to rip across it and over towards where the players are now. As you see the trees kind of blustering in the background. That'll come into play here on hole 6 in a second as the wind will probably be coming off a bit of a head left to right.
Yeah, winds were pushing 35, 40 mile per hour gusts out here, if not more. And we are going to check back in with our chase card over here on hole 6.
Yeah, Braden Sides, as you can see from his scorecard, off to an absolute heater to start this round. 4 down through 5, and that tee shot looks nearly perfect. We'll see where it ended up. But he's looking to make a push and try to be a 2-time winner at this tournament.
And great turn over there with what looks like a little bit of a tailwind there from Zach.
Yeah, this one is looking okay from Raven if it gets a little bit of stability at the end.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of a nice little skip there. I think that should help him out.
What a flex.
Yeah, beautiful shot from Arlinghouse there. Just a little bit of Anheuser getting it to drift left the whole way. Most likely a slow disc. We'll talk about it more here in a second when we get the drone flyover. But it's just another one of those holes that players can kind of decide to throw any speed that they want, because keeping it in the fairway is the most important thing.
This course, especially with the wind, is one of those places that just every single shot takes so much more thought than just a wide open course on a sunny day. It's so technical, and you have to calculate everything, which makes it that much more fun to watch as well.
Yeah, you got to play golf, right?
Yeah.
You can't just turn your brain off and throw a mindless 300-foot hyzer that you know is going to be inside the circle no matter what, right? There's a lot to think about in terms of placement and disc selection, and all the various factors that these players are dealing with. Bit turned from Braden there. That one's going to be potentially tricky up and down. There's a ton of skinny trees over there short right of the green that could come into play.
Like you said, as he's hidden over there in those little trees. Oh no, did he get caught up there?
Yeah, just couldn't get it out the first time. It is so hard back in those that little patch of woods. There's like maybe a couple disc-sized gaps, but not a lot to work with if you end up back there. Raven played this hole absolutely textbook. Takes home the birdie. Zach played it very well as well, so he's going to grab himself a birdie, and these 3 guys on the chase card just keep kind of crawling their way back into this thing.
Yeah, definitely some bonus footage getting to watch both of these, especially with everybody in contention here, fighting for their spot.
Yeah, so as we take another look at hole 6, the hole we just saw the chase card play, a par 5, 906 footer. Just such an incredible hole. Basically dead straight. It's not dead straight the whole way, but it is straight from the tee pad to the basket. The fairway kind of winds ever so slightly to the left off the tee, and then back to the right, and then it kind of straightens out at the end. So you can kind of get away with throwing these different speeds depending on what you're comfortable with. Off the tee shot, you'll see players usually either go mid-range or fairway driver, just to kind of push it straight and then have it fade ever so slightly at the end. And then on your second shot, depending on your lie, you can kind of throw a couple different options, depending on how much you want to bite off. So Harry's shot looked very nice. If it got some late stability, this one from Ian looks great as well. Should find the fairway.
Yeah, like you said, the fairway is the name of the game on this hole. Sometimes disking down is a better option to minimize damage with too much fade, too much turn, or kicking off into oblivion.
Yeah, oblivion is the scary part of this hole, and there also is out of bounds on the left-hand side. It can be difficult to find at times because of all the trees over there that are in the way of the fairway and the left side out of bounds, but it is, I will tell you from experience, it is still possible. But yeah, like you said, disking down is not a bad option. Every single player on this card can birdie this hole throwing mid-range, 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 or maybe even mid-range, mid-range putter.
Which is hard.
900
It's hard to get that conceptual in your head to
Sure.
get past the like 906 feet par 5. I can eagle this.
You can, but I don't know if it's ever been done in a tournament before
Yeah.
this day. But yes, it's definitely doable. Tricky spot to be in here for Eli. This left side can get you into trouble because their gaps are sizable. But if you try to get greedy and bite off too much, you can take some pretty bad kicks. So the kick that he took looked like it wasn't the worst that I've seen from over there. But that might have been the
That
worst.
might be oblivion.
Right side is not fun.
Look at this drive from Harry.
Yeah, that's all you need right there.
Yeah.
Hit the fairway. Probably just went putter or mid-range right there. Just a nice subtle turnover. Keeps himself in the fairway and should have under 300 into the green. So definitely in position.
But you can see how differently this hole plays by staying in the fairway versus just being slightly off. It completely changes how it feels as a player out there.
Yeah, and that's what makes it a great hole, right? Is
100%.
Is it kind of, and what I was talking about on the last hole too, right? A good shot and a great shot cause you to play your next shot so much differently because of your options become so limited that it can get you into trouble if you're not smart about it. That could be, that's the kick you don't want. The kick left that finds the out of bounds. It's going to put Ethan in it. It's doubly punishing too, because now he has a wall of trees in his way that he has to navigate to get to the basket with also having found the out of bounds. So really tough spot.
Our lead card is struggling with this hole, however, it did play as just the 8th hardest hole in the course. So some folks found success here, 50% of the field.
Yeah, I think the players are realizing that this hole is really just a disc down hole. They're learning their lessons, taking their medicine, and just playing it safely.
And it's worth calling out, Justin Rozak did snag the eagle on this hole.
Yeah, that's stupid. Like, Justin, like, bro. That's a very Justin Rozak thing to do, right? Is just, like, show up and eagle, like, one of the hardest holes on the course, right? But that is bonkers. When I heard of that, he had done that during my round, I was
Threw up a little bit.
Yeah, I threw up in my mouth a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
That's fair.
Long look there to save a bogey from Ethan. Comes up just a bit short. And yeah, he has a similar look for his bogey. Maybe just outside the circle and tad low.
Yeah, tough hole for these guys.
Ooh, a birdie look for Harry from the knee. Finding right side chains, but does not stick. That is, to be honest, a common miss on a Prodigy basket. If you don't put it on the pole, it's not going to stick. So
sometimes if you do, it doesn't stick anyways.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, but a part of the game.
And here's a peek. Holy moly.
A lot of action. Harry Chace still leading the way, but there is
Pot is getting stirred there for second and third.
Yeah, still a lot of action as we're checking in on some of those players making moves. Braden Sides got himself a birdie putt on the terrifying hole 7 and knocks it down. So
no stress there.
That is pretty killer for him. Arlinghouse looking to do the same and knocks it down.
Just keeping the pressure on and Really making lead card check those scores as they're going, finishing this final round here. Keeping it spicy.
Yeah, 3 birdies on this hole from the Chace card is bonkers because, as you can see, it's terrifying. 382 feet, downhill, tiny little island green, water everywhere. There, you have to hit a gap off the tee, and there's always a headwind on this hole because it's playing straight into the lake. So,
all of the things.
Good luck. That's what I'll say. I mean, this hole is really about trust, right? You got to have a disc that is stable enough to hold on to the wind, but is straight enough to not fade into the water. Did that hold on? I think Harry is just going to be barely in balance.
Oh, gosh.
But I think we'll find out when we get up there. This is the more common play that Ian's going with.
Which leaves a terrifying putt, however.
Correct. Yeah, he's going to have like a downhill 50-footer, which is, we'll see. We'll see if he decides to run it or not. Still looking for his first birdie of the day, so we'll see what he does. This one looks great from Eli.
Check up.
And what a bounce.
Yeah, with that wind, it's so hard to trust it over the water, and you get left with this. Oh. We have some questionable branches. You see players discussing the rules a little bit there, deciding if it's able to be removed or not.
And there it goes.
Oh. The course said, I got you.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I mean, for those that don't know, anything that's in front of your lie cannot be moved, regardless of it if it is dead and or unattached. So, but if it falls on its own, nothing you can do about that. Ian decided to make his birdie putt, and that's a scary one for Ethan.
Yeah, that's one of those ones that no matter what your mind says, your body, you have to convince it very hard otherwise to commit. Good birdie.
Yeah, Harry doing a great job so far, just playing clean, giving himself a couple looks here and there, but never really been out of position. He's hit he has hit every gap off the tee, and that's how you score well at Lake Marshall.
Yeah, staying calm and maintaining that gap and looking calm whilst he does it.
Taking a look at hole 8 for just another absolutely terrifying hole. Par 4, 554 feet. That short basket that we just flew by is not in play for the MPO division. Players would love to land on the backside of this hill if you could place the disc anywhere, but it is a pretty scary shot to go for to set yourself up to go across to the second island where the green is located. And yeah, of course, there's a ripping head crosswind, so you have no idea how far you need to, aim the disc out over the water.
Yeah, we saw the last hole where you could kind of just play up into the hill, but that makes it definitely more challenging coming into hole 8 because you have to then make another placement shot to get safe up on the green. So this is why we see hole 8 playing as the hardest hole of the day.
Yeah, it's playing basically as a par 5 as Eli finds the water there. It's so hard to know because, again, you can see the water moving. It's a head left to right wind. So if you throw a forehand, the disc is going to move left to right. But since it's a headwind, you don't know how much your disc is going to flip up and push. So it's so hard to know how far to swing it. A lot of players
hole,
are
guys.
just
Tough hole.
Yeah. A lot of players are just going to end up kind of on the right side. with a 20-foot jump putt layup as their best option, because it's just, if you're not in the perfect spot, there's not much you can do.
Briefly checking back into what our chase card is doing. Braden taking a bogey here over at hole 8. Like you said, it's a common score here, playing over par.
Yeah, gosh, look at these. Just look at the trees. There's like the green on this hole has like 40-mile-per-hour headwinds that these players are putting into. It is absolutely terrifying. Even like a 12-footer is so scary. Harry's just trying to lay up here, and I don't even know if he can go over from there. That's still going to be a hard shot on the right side of the fairway, because it's probably blind and with a ripping wind and just all of the problems.
So not only does the course have elevation and distance, but she also has lots of water carries for our players.
Yeah, this one,
Come on.
it's just too wide for Ethan.
So close, though. So close. Right
Oh, is
on
that the
edge.
disc?
Yep.
Oh, is that in bounds?
Ew.
He's like right next to the stake. That's going to be another close call.
We'll see what the card decides as we get up there, but oh no.
Yeah, just first one out of his hand is tough miss. Going to cost him at least 2 strokes. Eli, this is a nice safe shot into the green, and a little weird reaction, but does stick eventually.
Like you said, Harry was left with a tricky shot, and unfortunately he doesn't make it across.
I don't even know if he's going to be able to advance from there, because he basically just threw it straight into the water. So I don't know what he's going to do from the same lie. Ian with a good shot there to give himself a chance to save 5, but...
And it looks like he did advance a little bit. He might have forged his way through the forest just to get to the edge of the water there. And that's a terrifying putt.
Yeah, it's the scariest 20-footer he's going to have maybe all year. With just nothing. If you don't hit anything, your putter will be like 40 feet into the water. It is pretty nuts, this green, with the elevation and wind and out of bounds. Oh my goodness. What a putt. What a birdie.
It looks like he stayed safe. Was deemed in bounds because he did snag that birdie.
Oh my god. That disc was never above the cage until it, like, at the last second just perfectly lifted in.
You're holding your breath because if that hits cage.
Oh, it's gone. Ooh. Yeah, it's right back down the hill. Wow. I can't believe he ran that.
Oh no. Okay. I thought that snagged early. You can see Harry just taking his medicine and just opting for the short putt.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Okay. That one sits as well for Ian.
A lot of stress on this hole.
Yeah, I mean, until your disc is in the basket, it is just so nerve-wracking. Eli just barely sneaks his in for bogey, which is about average for this hole on the day, so not the worst result.
Yeah, you're not sweating that too much. Quite honestly, you're just glad the hole's over.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, it is. It is a sigh of relief once you get through this one, because the big numbers can come quick. Even after you put yourself in a good spot on the green, if you're left with like a slightly awkward 20-footer, you can very easily miss it and end up with a big number. So some struggles for our lead card on this one, some stroke swings, and with that 7 from Harry Chace, things just got a whole lot more interesting.
That they did.
So let's take a deep breath and head to hole 9, 565-foot par 4. Another, you've heard me say it like 12 times today, another uphill tee shot, trying to get as far up the hill as possible. If you can get close to the flat, you'll be in a very nice spot to try to attack this green. Depending on which side of the fairway you're on, you might have a hyzer or a straight shot. But yeah, goal number 1, push it as far up this fairway as possible and try to keep it in the middle.
And it looks like he didn't quite get to the top of the hill, but should be okay where he's at.
Yeah, in the fairway is fine. It's probably going to be a tough to get a birdie look from there, but
look at this though.
It'll play. That's smoked from Eli. Now we're seeing the distance on display. That was a full rip getting up into the flat. That'll put him in a great spot as Ian's chalk explodes off his hand. He gave this one a full rip as well. Oh my gosh.
Sheesh.
Gets even farther. It's nasty.
Harry's been hitting gaps all day. Let's see if he can do it again.
Yeah, a little low, but it'll play. It'll play. That was a nice looking shot from Ethan. Gets himself up inside the circle.
Yeah, he got more ground play than I thought, and fortunately, though, that happened.
Yeah, first available for Harry. Starting to kind of let the mistakes pile up, and this one is pulled as well. But it gets through, so he is going to have a chance to save par and kind of stop the bleeding right now.
Yeah, this is where the mental game really comes into play of shake it off, let it go, and just commit to keeping the foot on the gas and committing to what you know you can do.
Yeah, obviously still a ton of golf left. Lots of stroke swings out here, but you gotta get yourself moving back forward and not in the wrong direction before that can happen. So Eli and Ian, after throwing 2 fantastic drives, Ian actually went almost too far on down that left side of the fairway to where he had to get really sneaky to get himself a look, but did fight through. So birdie look here for Eli first.
Oh no. Little top band action. Good connection from Ethan.
Yeah, back-to-back birdies for him. He's looking to get himself back into this thing. That's a nice way to finish out his front 9.
And this looks like it caught up. I thought it went down the hill, so that was part of my reaction. However, it did get caught up. I thought it launched down the hill. So thankfully he was able to save his par there with it not bouncing into oblivion from the top band.
Yeah, that definitely could have been a lot worse depending on the ground play he got. But important putt here for Harry now. Par putt. Keep himself at 16 under par, and he does connect.
He's back.
Can take a deep breath. Gonna have a long walk before he gets to hole 10 anyway, so plenty of time to reset and quiet his mind. Birdie putt for Ian here, and that just didn't come out clean.
Yeah, back to the shake it off. Keep trucking.
Yeah, happens to the best of us. Sometimes the brain and the hand do not communicate. As we take a look at the leaderboard here to round out our front 9, lots of action, lots of colors. Not usually how you'd like the scorecard to look, but it makes for some interesting coverage, doesn't it?
Speaking of interesting, let's look at our leaderboard through 9 holes.
Yeah,
Getting
Raven
quite the
Newsom,
mix in here.
Braden Sides making some moves. Lucas Oberholtz or Hess climbing the leaderboard. It's anybody's game, just like that.
So for more exciting coverage, just make sure you come and watch the back 9 because there's a lot that can happen out here at Lake Marshall.
Yeah, we'll see you there.